For nearly 2 decades, Sheamus has built one of the most remarkable careers in WWE history. Since making his debut, the Celtic Warrior has earned a reputation as one of the toughest and most physical competitors to ever step inside a WWE ring. He has battled through injuries, fought against legends, and defeated some of the biggest names the company has ever seen. Throughout his incredible journey, Sheamus has accomplished what many superstars can only dream of. He became a WWE champion, proving that he belonged at the very top of the industry. He captured the United States Championship and established himself as one of the most dominant champions in WWE. He won the prestigious King of the Ring tournament and outlasted 29 other superstars to win the Royal Rumble match, earning his place in the main event of WrestleMania. Every achievement added another chapter to an already legendary career. Despite all of those accomplishments, there was still one prize that had always escaped him. One championship continued to haunt him every time he looked back at everything he had achieved. The Intercontinental Championship remained the only major title missing from his collection. For years, fans and fellow superstars alike had spoken about how close Sheamus had come to winning it, yet every opportunity somehow slipped through his fingers. As the years passed, that championship became more than just another title. It became the final piece of a legacy that was still incomplete. On an episode of Monday Night Raw, Sheamus made his way to the ring with a serious look on his face. The WWE Universe welcomed him with a loud ovation, fully aware that whenever the Celtic Warrior had something to say, it was always worth listening to. Standing in the center of the ring, Sheamus reflected on everything he had accomplished throughout his career. He spoke about becoming a world champion, winning the Royal Rumble, wearing championship gold, and surviving countless wars inside the squared circle. But then he admitted that one goal still remained unfinished. Before the end of his career, he wanted to become Intercontinental Champion and finally complete the Grand Slam that had eluded him for so many years. Before Sheamus could continue, the atmosphere inside the arena changed. The music of the reigning Intercontinental Champion, Penta, echoed throughout the building. Carrying the championship proudly over his shoulder, Penta slowly walked onto the stage with complete confidence. He wasn't intimidated by Sheamus's legendary career. Instead, he saw another challenger standing in front of him. As he entered the ring, the two competitors stood face to face while the crowd anticipated what would happen next. Penta made one thing perfectly clear. He respected everything Sheamus had achieved throughout his career, but respect alone would never earn anyone a championship opportunity. He believed that every challenger had to prove they deserved a chance at the Intercontinental Championship. If Sheamus truly wanted to challenge for the title, he would have to earn it just like everyone else. There would be no special treatment, no shortcuts, and no free opportunities simply because of his legendary career. The tension between both men filled the arena as neither superstar took their eyes off the other. The challenge had been laid down, and Sheamus accepted it without hesitation. If earning another championship opportunity meant fighting through every obstacle placed in front of him, then that was exactly what he was prepared to do. His journey toward completing his legacy had officially begun.
The following week on Monday Night Raw, WWE management made the situation official. Rather than awarding Sheamus an immediate championship match, Adam Pearce announced an 8-man number 1 contenders tournament. The winner would earn the right to challenge Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. It was exactly the kind of challenge Penta had demanded, and exactly the kind of challenge Sheamus was ready to accept. If he wanted to complete his Grand Slam, he would have to earn every single step along the way. The tournament brought together some of the most talented superstars on the Raw roster. Every competitor had the same goal in mind: earn an opportunity to become the next Intercontinental Champion. For Sheamus, however, the tournament meant much more than simply winning another title match. This was his chance to prove that even after nearly 2 decades in WWE, he could still compete at the highest level against a new generation of superstars. The opening round saw Sheamus face Dominic Mysterio. Dominic tried to use his speed and quickness to stay one step ahead of the Celtic Warrior, but experience proved to be the deciding factor. Every time Dominic attempted to build momentum, Sheamus answered with the hard-hitting offense that had made him one of the most feared competitors in WWE. The match ended the same way many of Sheamus' biggest victories had ended, with a devastating brogue kick that secured his place in the next round of the tournament. Watching from the commentary desk was the Intercontinental Champion himself, Penta. Throughout the match, he carefully studied every move Sheamus made. He wasn't impressed by the victory, but he couldn't ignore the determination the veteran continued to show. As Sheamus celebrated his win inside the ring, Penta simply stood up from the commentary table, stared at his future challenger, and walked away without saying a word. It was clear that the champion was beginning to take this challenge more seriously than he wanted to admit. With one victory behind him, Sheamus advanced to the semifinals, where an even tougher challenge awaited him. Standing across the ring was Carmelo Hayes, one of WWE's fastest rising stars. Confident, athletic, and determined to make a name for himself, Carmelo believed that defeating a future Hall of Famer would be the biggest victory of his career. The match quickly became one of the highlights of the tournament. Carmelo used his speed and agility to frustrate Sheamus, while the Celtic Warrior relied on his strength, experience, and resilience to stay in the fight. Both men pushed each other to their absolute limits, refusing to give an inch. Just when it looked like Carmelo was about to pull off the biggest upset of his career, Sheamus found one final opening. A perfectly timed brogue kick connected, and the veteran secured another hard-fought victory. As Sheamus stood in the middle of the ring after the match, the WWE Universe erupted in applause. One more victory now separated him from the opportunity he had been chasing for years. The dream of finally competing for the Intercontinental Championship was getting closer with every passing week, but the hardest battle of the tournament was still waiting for him. The stage was now set for the final match of the #1 Contenders tournament. Standing across the ring from Sheamus was one of the most dangerous competitors in WWE, Ilya Dragunov. Known for his relentless aggression and unmatched determination, Dragunov had fought his way through the tournament with one goal in mind, earning the opportunity to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. Just like Sheamus, he refused to back down from any fight. With so much at stake, Adam Pearce announced that the tournament final would be contested under no disqualification rules. There would be no count-outs, no disqualifications, and no excuses. The only way to win was by pinfall or submission. It was the perfect environment for two warriors who were willing to sacrifice everything to reach their destination. From the opening bell, the match turned into an all-out war. Sheamus and Dragunov exchanged thunderous strikes that echoed throughout the arena. Every punch, every kick, and every clothesline landed with incredible force. Neither man showed any sign of slowing down as the battle spilled outside the ring. Steel steps, announce tables, and kendo sticks quickly became legal weapons, adding even more brutality to an already unforgettable contest. As the minutes passed, both superstars began showing the effects of the punishment. Sheamus' body had endured countless battles throughout his career, while Dragunov refused to stay down no matter how much damage he absorbed. The WWE Universe watched in amazement as both men continued to fight through pain, determined to earn the biggest opportunity of their careers. The turning point came when Dragunov attempted one final attack, hoping to finish the match once and for all. Sheamus avoided the impact at the last possible second before launching a powerful counter that shifted the momentum in his favor. Sensing that victory was finally within reach, the Celtic Warrior lifted his opponent onto a table position near the ring. With one incredible display of strength, Sheamus delivered a crushing white noise through the table, leaving both men lying on the arena floor. Barely able to stand, Sheamus dragged Dragunov back into the ring. As the crowd rose to its feet, he waited for his opponent to struggle back up. The moment finally arrived. Sheamus charged forward and connected with a devastating brogue kick that nearly turned Dragunov inside out. The referee counted the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. The bell rang, and the tournament was officially over. After weeks of battling through some of the very best superstars on Monday Night Raw, Sheamus had earned exactly what he came for. He was now the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. His dream of completing the Grand Slam was closer than ever before. As Sheamus celebrated in the ring, the Intercontinental Champion, Penta, made his way to the ring. The WWE Universe expected another tense confrontation, but instead, Penta did something that surprised everyone. He extended his hand toward Sheamus as a sign of respect. After a brief moment of hesitation, Sheamus accepted the handshake, believing that the champion was acknowledging the incredible journey he had just completed. But in an instant, everything changed. Without warning, Penta drove his head straight into Sheamus with a vicious headbutt. The crowd erupted in shock as the Intercontinental Champion immediately began attacking the exhausted tournament winner. The respect that appeared to exist between the two men had been nothing more than a trap. Penta stood over Sheamus, holding the Intercontinental Championship high above his head, making it clear that he would do whatever it took to keep the title around his waist. The following Monday Night Raw opened with the WWE Universe still talking about Penta's shocking attack on Sheamus. What had started as a gesture of respect had quickly turned into one of the most ruthless betrayals of the year. After weeks of insisting that every challenger had to earn an opportunity, Penta had finally revealed his true colors. The Intercontinental Champion was no longer interested in proving he was the better wrestler. Instead, he was willing to do whatever it took to make sure Sheamus never completed his Grand Slam. Sheamus made his way to the ring with a determined look on his face. Although the attack had left him bruised and battered, it had not broken his spirit. He made it clear that Penta's actions had only strengthened his determination. For years, the Intercontinental Championship had been the one prize missing from his legendary career. Now, after everything that had happened, winning the title had become even more personal. It was no longer just about completing his legacy. It was about proving that respect, honor, and hard work could overcome betrayal. Later that night, Adam Pearce addressed the situation. After reviewing what had happened following the tournament final, he officially announced that Penta would defend the Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus at Night of Champions. The decision was met with a huge reaction from the WWE Universe. The match everyone had been waiting for was finally confirmed. Sheamus had earned his opportunity, and now he would have the chance to finish the journey he had started weeks earlier. As Night of Champions approached, both superstars continued to build momentum in very different ways. Sheamus focused entirely on preparing for the biggest Intercontinental Championship match of his career. Every victory reminded the WWE Universe that the Celtic Warrior was still one of the toughest competitors in WWE. Every week, he looked more focused, more determined, and more confident that his moment had finally arrived. Penta, on the other hand, embraced his new attitude. The champion no longer cared about earning the respect of the WWE Universe. He believed that championships were not kept through respect alone but through survival. Every appearance became another opportunity to send a message to Sheamus. Whether through mind games, surprise attacks, or simple intimidation, Penta wanted his challenger to enter Night of Champions questioning whether he was truly ready for the fight ahead. Finally, Night of Champions arrived. The atmosphere inside the arena was electric as thousands of fans watched two of WWE's hardest-hitting competitors prepare for battle. The Intercontinental Championship was placed at ringside, representing everything Sheamus had been chasing throughout his career. For Penta, it was the symbol of his dominance. For Sheamus, it represented the final chapter of a legacy nearly 20 years in the making. The bell rang, and both men immediately lived up to the expectations. Every strike echoed throughout the arena as neither competitor was willing to give an inch. Sheamus relied on his power and experience, while Penta answered with speed, precision, and relentless aggression. The match quickly became one of the most physical contests of the entire year, with both superstars pushing each other beyond their limits in pursuit of the Intercontinental Championship. As the Intercontinental Championship match at Night of Champions continued, neither Sheamus nor Penta showed any signs of slowing down. The champion targeted Sheamus' ribs and lower back, hoping to weaken the power behind the brogue kick. Meanwhile, Sheamus answered every attack with the hard-hitting offense that had defined his entire career. The WWE Universe remained on its feet as both competitors exchanged devastating strikes, refusing to surrender an inch. The momentum shifted back and forth throughout the contest. Sheamus came within seconds of completing his dream after connecting with a thunderous Irish curse backbreaker, but somehow Penta managed to kick out before the referee counted 3. Moments later, Penta responded with a devastating Penta driver, only for Sheamus to dig deep and keep the match alive. It became clear that this championship meant everything to both men. With the match reaching its final moments, Sheamus built one last surge of momentum. He lifted Penta to his feet and prepared to deliver the brogue kick that had finished countless opponents over the years. The WWE Universe could sense history was only seconds away. As Sheamus charged forward, disaster struck. The referee was accidentally knocked down during the chaos, leaving no official to witness what happened next. Realizing there was nobody to stop him, Penta took advantage of the situation. In a desperate act to protect his championship, he delivered a low blow to Sheamus. The Celtic Warrior collapsed to the mat in agony as the crowd erupted with boos. It was the exact moment that confirmed Penta's complete transformation. The champion who once spoke about earning opportunities had now chosen to keep his title by any means necessary. A second referee sprinted to the ring just as Penta delivered another devastating Penta driver. He covered Sheamus, and the referee counted the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. The bell rang, and Penta retained the Intercontinental Championship. The celebration inside the ring belonged to the champion, but the WWE Universe knew the victory had come through dishonorable tactics rather than fair competition. As Penta raised the championship above his head, Sheamus slowly pulled himself up using the ropes. Frustration was written across his face. He knew he had been robbed of the one championship he had chased for so many years. Before the night could come to an end, Raw General Manager Adam Pearce walked onto the stage. He acknowledged the controversial ending and announced that what had happened would not be the final chapter of this rivalry. Pearce declared that at SummerSlam, Sheamus would receive one final opportunity to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. There would be no controversy, no excuses, and no escape for the champion. If Sheamus wanted to complete his Grand Slam, SummerSlam would be his last chance. As the announcement echoed throughout the arena, the WWE Universe erupted in excitement. The road to SummerSlam had officially begun, and the biggest match of Sheamus' career was still waiting for him. The weeks leading to SummerSlam became increasingly personal. After escaping Night of Champions with the Intercontinental Championship, Penta carried himself as though he had permanently ended Sheamus' dream. Every Monday Night Raw, he reminded the WWE Universe that the Celtic Warrior had failed when it mattered most. To Penta, the controversy didn't matter. History would only remember one thing. He had walked into Night of Champions as the champion, and he had walked out with the title still around his waist. For Sheamus, however, the story was far from over. He refused to let one controversial loss define the final chapter of his career. Instead of demanding another opportunity, he chose to prove once again that he deserved to stand at the front of the line. Week after week, he stepped into the ring against some of Raw's toughest competitors. Every victory sent a clear message to the champion that his determination had only grown stronger. No matter how difficult the journey became, Sheamus refused to abandon the dream he had chased for nearly 2 decades. As SummerSlam drew closer, the rivalry reached a boiling point. During one episode of Raw, WWE officials organized a contract signing to make the championship match official. The atmosphere inside the arena was tense as both men signed the contract without taking their eyes off one another. It was obvious that neither competitor had any intention of backing down. The Intercontinental Championship sat on the table between them, symbolizing everything they were fighting for. Before the event could end peacefully, tempers exploded. Penta attempted to intimidate Sheamus once again, but the Celtic Warrior answered immediately. A wild fight broke out inside the ring as security and WWE officials rushed to separate the two superstars. Chairs were overturned, the contract table was destroyed, and dozens of officials struggled to restore order. Even after being pulled apart, both men continued trying to reach each other, proving that this rivalry had become one of the most personal battles of the year. Seeing how far things had escalated, Adam Pearce made one final announcement before SummerSlam. Since there had been controversy at Night of Champions, the rematch would now be contested under 2 out of 3 falls rules. The first superstar to score 2 falls would leave SummerSlam as the Intercontinental Champion. There would be no room for excuses and no debate about the rightful winner. This time, the better man would have to prove it beyond any doubt. As the final episode of Raw before SummerSlam came to an end, Sheamus stood on the entrance stage and looked toward the ring where Penta held the Intercontinental Championship high above his head. Neither man said a word. They simply stared at one another, fully aware that their rivalry was about to reach its conclusion on the grandest stage of the summer. Everything Sheamus had worked for throughout his legendary career now came down to one final match. SummerSlam had finally arrived. The stadium was packed with thousands of members of the WWE Universe, all waiting to witness the final chapter in one of the year's most intense rivalries. The Intercontinental Championship was on the line, but for Sheamus, this match represented something far greater than championship gold. It represented the opportunity to complete the one accomplishment that had escaped him throughout his entire career. The bell rang, and the Hell in a Cell 2 out of 3 falls match immediately lived up to its expectations. Both men came out with incredible intensity, knowing that every mistake could decide the outcome of the championship. Penta struck first, using his speed and precision to keep Sheamus off balance. After a hard-fought opening exchange, the champion capitalized on one small mistake and delivered a devastating Penta driver. The referee counted the first fall, giving Penta an early 1-fall advantage. With his back against the wall, Sheamus knew there was no room for error. Drawing on years of experience and determination, he slowly fought his way back into the match. Every strike landed with greater force than the last. The momentum shifted as Sheamus connected with a crushing white noise from the top rope, leaving both men exhausted in the center of the ring. Gathering every ounce of strength he had left, Sheamus covered the champion and earned the second fall, tying the match at 1 fall apiece. The stadium erupted as the deciding fall began. Every member of the WWE Universe was on their feet, fully aware that the next decisive move would determine the Intercontinental Champion. Both competitors struggled to stand after the punishment they had inflicted on one another. Penta attempted one final Penta driver, hoping to end the match once and for all, but this time, Sheamus escaped. In one unforgettable moment, the Celtic Warrior exploded forward with a perfectly timed brogue kick. The impact sent Penta crashing to the canvas. Sheamus immediately dropped for the cover as the referee counted. 1, 2, 3. The bell rang, and the stadium exploded with celebration. After years of chasing the one championship that had always escaped him, Sheamus had finally achieved his goal. The Intercontinental Championship was finally his. The dream he had spoken about weeks earlier had become reality, completing one of the greatest careers in WWE history. As confetti filled the stadium, Sheamus climbed the turnbuckle and raised the Intercontinental Championship high above his head. The WWE Universe erupted into chants of, "You deserve it." In a surprising show of respect, Penta slowly returned to his feet and acknowledged the new champion. The rivalry had reached its end, and although only one man could leave with the championship, both competitors had delivered a match that would be remembered for years to come. For Sheamus, this was more than just another title victory. It was the final piece of a legacy built through hard work, resilience, and an unwavering refusal to quit. After nearly 20 years of fighting inside a WWE ring, the Celtic Warrior had finally completed his Grand Slam and secured his place among the greatest champions in WWE history.